با گام‌های استوار پرتوان و پایدار، دستان به دست هم سرود و هم قدم، من یک زنم در نبرد با ارتجا، کوه عزم و رزم آهنم، من یک زنم، من یک زنم. ایستاده ام چو کوه، پر غرور و پر شکوه، موجم روان چو رود، پر خروش و پر سرود، من یک زنم در نبرد با ارتجا، کوه عزم و رزم آهنم، من یک زنم، من یک زنم. تا به کی نشان ز خون ما، تا به کی ز خون ما، صد نشان به کوچه ها، ای مرام زن ستیز، نیست ره گریز، من یک زنم در نبرد با ارتجا، کوه عزم و رزم آهنم، من یک زنم، من یک زنم. با لبان دوخته، بالهای سوخته، بانگ ما نشد خاموش، این بود مرا خروش، من یک زنم، من یک زنم. مام کاوه ها، مام کوروشم، این منم که رستم زادم، ژینا حدیث نیکا نوید، تهمینم گرد آفرید، آزادم آزادم آزادم.
Hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening, good morning everyone. On behalf of the Stop Honor Killings campaign, I warmly welcome you to this important gathering on the role of women in sustainable peace. We are honored to have six distinguished speakers from 6 different countries that representing region that have endured the hardship of war and conflict. Their voices, experiences, and perspective are essential to understanding not only the challenges women face, but also the transformative power they bring to the peace building and reconciliation. Women have always been at the forefront of the effort to end violence, to heal communities, and to lay the foundation for lasting peace. Yet too often their contribution are overlooked or inclusion from formal negotiation. By coming together today across borders and culture, we affirm that peace cannot be sustainable without women's full participation and leadership. I thank each of you for joining us and for contributing to this dialogue. And now it is my great pleasure to hand the floor over to my dear Elahe Amani, who will be guiding and moderating this important session. Thank you, Elahe Jan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rezwan Jan. Hello and warm welcome to everyone. It's an honor to welcome you to this important panel on the role of women in the region in building sustainable peace, unquote. Across history and across borders, women have been the quiet architect of peace and the bold voice for justice, often without recognition, often at great personal risk. Today, we gather at a time when the world is witnessing deep fracture, war, displacement, political instability. In Afghanistan, women resisting erosion. In Palestine and Syria, in Palestine and Syria.
Where did it go?
John, please. Okay.
In Palestine and Syria, they endure unimaginable suffering and still organize for hope. In Lebanon and Turkey, they navigate crisis with resilience. In India and Iran, they had movement for justice and human dignity. And in Ukraine, amid war, women sustain life while calling for peace. That's not only the absence of war, but the presence of rights and equality. What unites us here with diverse contexts is this truth. There can be no sustainable peace without the full and equal participation of women. Women bring to peace building not only the demand to stop violence, but the vision to transform societies, addressing root causes, healing divides, and ensuring that peace agreements do not merely silence guns, but also amplify voices long ignored. Our panel today brings together extraordinary women who know this reality not as theory, but as a lived experience. Their insight will remind us that women are not victims of war. They are agents of peace, carriers of memory, and builders of future. So let us listen and with open minds and open hearts, and let this conversation inspire us to act, because peace is not a gift. It's a responsibility we all share. With that, it's my privilege to invite our distinguished speakers to briefly introduce themselves in their own words. After these introductions, we will return to hear their powerful stories, their journey, struggle, and visions for building peace. So with that, I wanna invite our first speaker, Tamana. Please pay attention to the top right corner of your screen for the 2 minutes timer. Tamana, please share your introduction for introducing yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilahi, and thank you to Zan and Zee for a beautiful introduction to this gathering. I'm Tamanna Satya. I'm from Jammu and Kashmir, India. Ilahi, can you just signal if you can hear my voice fine?
Yes.
Okay. So I have had the privilege and honor of founding a youth-led peace-building organization called the Daffodils Project. Now, I will take a little bit more time if that's possible, because I would like to share the story of why I named it the Daffodils Project. I think that's the best way to summarize who I am and why I am here today. So on a balmy spring morning in the lawns of Kashmir University, I sat with a group of women peace builders, very young women, and we were all disheartened and hopeless after a very tough week of negotiations with violent extremists, opportunist politicians, disinterested government, hundreds of disillusioned youth. And the conflict, as around us, the conflict raged and simmered for decades. I was on the verge of giving up hope. But then the sun shone a little brighter, and suddenly a glistening carpet of daffodil flowers caught my attention. So in Kashmir, you have to understand, daffodil flowers appear after a very long and harsh winter. So they bring with them not just hope, but also the arrival of better days. So I looked at the daffodils and I looked at the young women peace builders surrounding me. And in them, I saw a reflection of each other. They were my daffodils who gave me hope that, enabled me to work towards peace building and conflict transformation, not just in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, which is the northernmost part of India, for more than a decade, but also Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nigeria, and Afghanistan. So my work involves gender mainstreaming of peace processes. I've worked on localizing the United Nations Security Council resolutions 2250, 1325, which are youth peace and security and women peace and security respectively. I've also had the honor of working to reclaim safe and accessible public spaces for women. And recently, my research project about decolonizing peace by reviving and documenting indigenous peace leadership in India. And I'm so honored to be in the presence of all of the accomplished women and hope to contribute not just my personal anecdotes, but also lived experiences of women whom I represent today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamana Jan. Salamia Ramadan. Parveen, I don't see the timer for the 2 minutes at the top. It was on the screen.
When they start, I will have it. They will have it. Okay. So it is 2 minutes, not 1 minute, right?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. They will.
So our next speaker is Salamia Ramadan from Palestine. Salamia.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Sulaima Ramadan. I was born in Jerusalem and raised in Bethlehem. I'm sure you have heard of these two cities, which are filled with history, complexity, and daily struggle, but also they are filled with resilience and hope. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ibtikar for Empowerment and Social Entrepreneurship, which is a Palestinian youth-led organization that works with women, youth, and children. And we have many initiatives that combine economic empowerment, psychosocial support, psychological support, and social innovation to create spaces where our communities can come together to heal, to grow, and to lead the futures that we all hope to be part of. For me, I'm really deeply honored to join this campaign and stand in solidarity with each one of you. And I think it's really time for us all to say with one voice that there is no honor in killing, in all types of killing. And together we can maybe work on shaping a future where women are not silenced, but recognized as the backbone of peace and dignity in all of our communities. Thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to this important session, which I'm sure will be a very fruitful one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Fatma. Welcome, Fatma.
Thank you, Elahe. Thank you, old friends, old Jews with Farsi. I am Fatma Aytaç. I'm from Turkey, born and raised in Turkey, and now I'm living in New Jersey. After some years, we changed our country. I am the co-chair of the Women's Party. I'm one of the founders of Turkish Women's Party. Actually, I am an engineer, industrial engineer. I worked as an engineer in the private sector for years. And after that, I switched to the civil society. Now I am chairwoman of Red Pepper Association, which headquarters is in Istanbul. Is an NGO for women's rights and human rights. I'm representing my NGO in United Nations, and I am also representing Women's Party as a co-chair. I'm married and with 2 children. I have 2 daughters. I live now in New Jersey, and I'm continuing my work together with the civil society in US and civil society in Turkey together. I'm a part of big women's movement in Turkey and my NGO as well. I am trying to continue struggle in this country, and I'm very happy to be with you today. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Fatma. Vera, it's your turn. We are looking forward to hear you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and it's really an honor to be here among really I'm a huge fan of the people already on the call. I know many of you, but also it's an honor to learn about the others. So I'm representing Peace of Art organization in Lebanon. I'm also the regional coordinator for the United Network of Young Peace Builders for the MENA region. And just a little bit about each of them quickly. So Peace of Art is a registered organization under the Lebanese Ministry for Internal Affairs, promoting mainly in marginalized communities of Lebanon. So we're working in areas called Northern Beqa, which is like, maybe I'll share a little bit on that later in the speech. But basically, the idea is we're trying to promote dialogue and open spaces and peace building through arts. And that includes music, photography, filmmaking, theater, fine arts, drawing, design and editing, and digital arts as well. And yeah, we're trying to also build on intergenerational and interreligious dialogue. And as for UNY, or the United Network of Young Peace Builders, it's a global organization that brings together young peace builders around the world. And I'm really honored to be working alongside such amazing and inspiring people like Sulaiman and Lama. And I'm really honored to see them here as well. So this is in a brief, and I'm really grateful to the Stop Honor Killings campaign team for convening this space and at this moment. And I think it's a really important moment to think together about the role of women in shaping peace regionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vera. Now we're going to listen introduction of Lama.
Thank you, Elahe. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation and for bringing us together at such a critical moment. My name is Lama Drabati, and I am a Syrian doctor, peace builder, and women's rights advocate, currently based in the UK. Over the past decade, my work has been deeply rooted in peace building, advancing women's rights, and promoting gender equality in Syria and across the MENA and broader Swana region. I am the co-founder of Peacemakers Syria, a registered organization dedicated to fostering dialogue, empowering women, and building grassroots initiatives that strengthen social cohesion in times of conflict. Through this work, I have witnessed firsthand both the immense challenges and the remarkable resilience of women who continue to lead a change, even in the most difficult circumstances. Beyond Syria, I have been engaged regionally and globally through multiple networks committed to women's and human rights. Since 2021, I've been working with Femena, which focuses on advocacy for women peace builders and women human rights defenders in the Swana region. In my current role with Femena as a regional network engagement lead, I collaborate with women peace builders and women human rights defenders and their organizations to amplify their voices, support their resilience, and strengthen regional solidarity. I'm honored to be also, I am a Chevening and Said Foundation alumni and also a Rotary Peace Fellow, where I specialize in peace building and conflict resolution. And what drives me is a belief in the transformative power of women's leadership, which you introduced earlier during the event, not only for equality, but also for sustainable peace. So I'm delightful to join you today and look forward to our exchange.
Thank you very much, Lama. Femna is an excellent organization. And now we're going to hear introduction of Malihe Maghazei. Malihe Jan.
Hello everyone, and I'm honored to be invited to this wonderful meeting. My name is Malihe Maghazei. I'm a social historian focusing on Middle East than gender. I did my higher education in California, where I earned degrees in anthropology, Middle Eastern studies, and history. Over the years, I taught a variety of courses, including world history, modern European history, and the women's movement in the Middle East at several universities in California. I've also had the chance to do research at places like the University of Oslo, Norway, Utrecht University, I don't know if I pronounce well, Utrecht University in the Netherlands, NYU, and the London School of Economics and Political Science, which actually I got a chance in LSE to get training at Human Rights International laws, which really influenced the way I approach my work. My writing includes articles and reviews in both English and Farsi on topics such as Iranian youth, protest music in Iran, and the banning of Iranian women vocalists and singers, and the history of Iran's women movements, Iran's women's movement. I also translated articles and books on Iran's social history, social psychology, and gender studies. In addition, my profound enthusiasm for contemporary Iranian cinema, especially films that address social issues, is further enriched by screenwriting training in Tehran. This unique perspective enhances my understanding of cultural narratives and their social impact. And throughout the years, I've also been involved in activism in Iran, especially around women's issues, which I have actually paid the prices for. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. We heard the introduction of these amazing women from various countries. And now we're gonna, after this introduction, we will return and to hear their powerful stories, their journeys, the struggle, and visions for building peace. And we're gonna go with Tamana. Tamana, you have 7 minutes. Each speakers have 7 minutes to share lesson learned, your struggle, your challenges. Share it with us. Tamana, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lani. The journey has been very challenging, and as I'm sure for everyone, fulfilling too. But the biggest challenge I faced at the beginning of my peace building journey in this region was, number one, I was young, so not taken seriously. And number two, I was a woman. So I was not deliberately, my voice was suppressed or pretended not to be heard. Now, thankfully, at the beginning, I was backed by women who were very rooted in their indigenous knowledge. So they knew not just what conflict looks like in its local raw setting, but also how it manifests in ways that, other systems that exclude those women tended to overlook. So when I went ahead and talked to those women, I understood one thing, that at the ground level, the actual movers and shakers who can really help navigate conflict and transform it into, sustainable peace, those are the very, women who shape their families, like simple women in mostly marginalized communities. For my community, they were people living on the border, like mothers who would cook meals, who would support their children's education, no matter how tough the times, or even when wars were raging, or girls who tried very hard and succeeded to go study against what their male elders wished for them. There were tribal women where their leadership was not just unheard of, but was taken seriously in a negative way, that women cannot be leaders, not in our tribal societies. They not just betrayed that convention, but also showed them how productive it is when the woman takes the lead. So when I went to these women, these communities, and I tried to take their voices to the people who were actually sitting at the peace tables but didn't deserve to, they suddenly shut me down. And that is when it was revealed to me the systemic exclusion of these women, of women like me. So over the past more than 10 years, 11 years, I realized that for peace to be sustained in any such setting, for example, in Jammu and Kashmir, where it has been decades of simmering conflict since 1947, you have to listen to what the women are saying who were there when, for example, I would like to give you a small timeline of how things unfolded in Jammu and Kashmir in India. So in 1947, India was a British colony, and it was decided to be partitioned into India and then Pakistan, which was a new state to be created. The king of Jammu and Kashmir, which was then an independent kingdom, he chose to remain autonomous and remain an independent country. So he signed a document with Pakistan and not India, which was a standstill agreement, saying that you wouldn't attack me. However, the series of events unfolded wherein Jammu and Kashmir was attacked by Pakistan despite the signature of standstill agreement, and which was followed by suddenly seepage of violent extremism and failed state policies. And now here we are, where we have the problems of cross-border terrorism, violent extremism, disillusioned youth, narcotic terrorism. We had civil and political mayhem for the longest time possible. So the conflict here is not just misunderstood, but it is layered. And to penetrate them, I found in my journey the best way was to reach out the smallest units that would enable peace in the community, which was a family. And lo and behold, what did I find? The families are not just put together, but nurtured by women. And hence began my journey of training those women to take up smaller but essential leadership roles, not just in their families, which they were already doing, but also in communities. And I thought it was the best to start with young women. So we trained them as leaders. Suddenly they found themselves a seat first at the table, and then they went on to create multiple tables where they could have, hold peace talks and claim a stake in the conflicts and the peace building narratives that were going on. However, when do we fail, as a community of young female peace builders? I've realized when it is at the highest level. For example, when working with young women peace builders from Afghanistan, I found it was a great setback when they had been doing all the work for years, not just warning about what's to come. Because let's say, whenever, like in Afghanistan, and in Jammu and Kashmir, whenever violent extremism or an extremist regime begins to, put a stronghold, they try to recruit young men. So mothers are the first to notice, and they're also the first ones to take actions to stop that. So they've been doing that for a long time. But when it was time for peace talks in Doha, and that's my lesson from my work there, suddenly there was no woman on the table. There are years of work, years of research, and this was all unpaid labor. It was discarded. And then we, of course, saw the spiraling down of what happened there. So I could see similar things happening in different communities where I was working on. And through it all, I think I realized, which was also hopeless to say, but the redundancy of certain systems and institutions that were set in place. For example, despite having UN resolutions on Kashmir, it never came to any fruition. And similarly, working to localize 2250 and 1325 UNSCRs, it did not yield the results that we were hoping to, especially as young women peace builders. So I decided it was the best to first not just localize, but reach out to the root of all that historic ancient knowledge, which was the indigenous knowledge. I'm sure if our societies in the past experienced some sort of coexistence, peaceful states, there had to be some oral history through which it would have been passed. So ultimately, at my organization, we embarked on this journey where we thought that is our peace building lens colonized, just like our nations were? Because the knowledge that we were getting was it was easy to localize, but very difficult to relate to, for women in the communities whose language was not English, who didn't understand theories about, peace and conflict. So not just how do we reach out and make it relatable, but how do we mine from the ocean of their wisdom, the pools, that are the indigenous knowledge about peace building. So we started talking to these women and, further training more younger women into digging deep into their cultures and find out how indigenously they practiced peace and peace leadership. To be specific, I'm sorry, I just noticed I overspent my time limit. So I think I would stop that. It's been like a lot of lessons that I've shared. I'm sorry for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamana. It was excellent, your journey, to hear your journey and your lesson learned. And now we're going to go to Salamia Ramadan from Palestine.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Amani, and thank you very much for all of you, my fellow sisters and colleagues. Well, I'll try to best use my 7 minutes, but it's not easy. Let's start by this, that as a Palestinian woman, I think peace is not a distant dream or an abstract concept that is not something livable at all. I think it's a daily necessity that demands for dignity, really demands for dignity, safety, freedom from violence, whether that violence that comes from political aggression, from the social structures, or what is falsely called honor. In my region and across the region, I think women are carrying an extraordinary double burden. They are the first targets of violence, usually, but yet they are also the first responders when communities break down. And this is not only about social violence. I'm here talking about the type of violence that we are facing as a result of being a country that is occupied. When families lose their homes, from my point of view, it's women who rebuild the daily life. When aggression destroys the livelihoods, it's women who create small businesses from kitchens, workshops, and community spaces. When trauma becomes generational, also from my point of view, it's women who hold children, comfort the families, and wave the communities back together. This is peace building. Even if it's rarely recognized at this because of the Western concepts, let's say, but I think this is what represents peace building from my point of view. I believe that women's role in building sustainable peace rests mainly on 3 undeniable truths. And this is based on my experience and the work that I have been doing in Palestine for the last 9 years. First of all, I think that women create economic resilience in Palestine and across the region in general. And based on the information that I have collected over the last years, I think women economic initiatives are not simply survival mechanisms, but they are acts of resilience, dignity, and hope. And they try to keep families standing and try to keep communities alive. And in many cases, they are succeeding to do so. Second of all, I think women heal the social fabric. Without women's work of healing, emotional, psychosocial, psychological, communal, I think our communities would collapse under the weight of trauma. And I'm here insisting on the point that I'm not only talking about social traumas or traumas that are caused by our social shape, the shapes of our communities. I'm sorry, but rather because of being under occupation. So for me, sustainable peace is impossible without this invisible, let's say, labor of care, which comes from women. Third of all, I think women challenge unjust systems. And here I'm again standing from the point of view of a Palestinian that is who is living under occupation. And I think women, they stand against killing in all of its forms, whether it is honor killing or killing that is happening in Palestine. And they also are rejecting a patriarchal control by demanding a rightful seat in the decision-making table. And I'm here talking about the family level, the social levels, and all the social forms that they can be part of. But I would also like to be clear that women, I think, cannot continue to carry the weight of peace building in our region in particular alone. And they need recognition, they need resources, they need political spaces. And I think political peace will only be possible when women's work is acknowledged, not as supportive, but I think it is really time for it to be recognized as the central of everything and not the secondary of work that is being done by other parts of the society. So for me, from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, from Gaza to Kabul to Tehran to Delhi, I think all of our struggles as women are interconnected, and so our solutions. But I think trusting women, supporting women, and following women's lead, we are not doing women a favor. We are really ensuring that peace is possible at all. As a Palestinian, I know that peace without justice cannot endure. And as a woman, I know that I really certainly know that peace without women is simply impossible. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for taking more than 7 minutes.
Thank you very much. Very, very in-depth word about your journey and the Palestinian woman journey for peace and their role in making peace possible. We're now going to hear from Fatma from Turkey. Fatma Can, please go ahead.
Thank you, Elahe. By the way, I would like to say hi to my friends Shahin, Razwan, Nidal, Helen. I wanted to use this opportunity. It's good to see you all, and it is an honor to be here with you, standing alongside with so many committed women who continue to raise their voices for peace, justice, equality across the world and across our region. We all have more or less the same problems. It is good. I feel powerful among those women. We have so many things to do, so many challenges to beat, but I feel strong with you. Thank you all. I would like to share a few words about the situation in Turkey by this way. In recent years, women in Turkey have been facing an alarming rise in gender-based violence and femicides. And every day we lose sisters, daughters, mothers to violence, and perpetrators stay in impunity. The state withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention, I am telling this in every meeting I'm invited, because this is really shows the position of Turkish government. It's a landmark treaty designed to protect women from violence. Setback from Istanbul Convention was a devastating setback. It's not only weakened the protection of women and also sending message to the public that women's lives are not our priority, political priority. At the same time, political polarization, shrinking civic space, and pressure on civil society make it increasingly difficult for women's organizations to carry out their essential work. Activists, journalists, and defenders, right defenders, are being silenced, and while women who speak against injustice, they are targeted by the government authorities through the social media, through everything. But despite all these challenges, women remained at the forefront of the resistance to tell this is true. They are organizing meetings, marching, building solidarity networks, and demanding democratic future for equality, where equality and peace prevail. Turkish women have long played a critical role in grassroots peace initiatives, and they continue to call for non-violent solution to the conflict, both within our borders and wider region. We know from the experience that peace without women is incomplete and unsustainable. I do believe that women should be in the peace table. There's an idiom saying in America, they say that if you are not in the table, you are in the menu. We are always in the menu. They are eating our rights. This is true. Our struggle in Turkey are deeply connected to those of women in Syria, in Afghanistan, in Iran, Palestine, and beyond. What we share is not only pain, we also share struggle, courage, and determination. That is why, for instance, this platform, today's gatherings are so vital. They allow us to speak across the borders, to listen and weave together our experience in a stronger collective demand. A region where peace, dignity, and equality are not distant dreams, but everyday reality. We should make it, and we will make it. As women, half of the society, we build the half of the society. We carry both the responsibility and the vision to build such a future. In Turkey, in the region, and across the world, our voices must be heard, and not only as victims of the war and violence, but also active agent of peace and transformation. I would like to mention about there is a peace process recently announced by the government in Turkey. The ruling party, the AKP, and its alliance, Nationalist Women's Party. This is the most nationalist party in Turkey. Almost racist, we can say that. They announced a peace process. They started a peace process. This peace process claimed to seek disarmament of the PKK, Kurdistan Workers' Party, and they even suggest the leader Abdullah Öcalan, who is imprisoned in Turkey more than 30 years, could be released from the prison and could be one of the leaders of this peace process. This comes to very nice to us, but we do not believe the sincerity of it. This is the real political aim of the President Erdogan, to secure the Kurdish voters and the party, DEM party, which is represent Kurdish people, to change the constitution and open the way for his re-election. He wants to stay as a president forever until he dies. So he's trying to change constitution in that way. Meanwhile, many political leaders, probably you are following from the newspapers, from the news agents, all the political leaders, all the opposition leaders, elected representatives are imprisoned to really totally political reason. In such a context, it is difficult to believe that this newly launched peace process is genuine. Instead, it looks like another maneuver to consolidate political power rather than a commitment to democracy and lasting peace. What we have done in Turkey, I'm seeing the time there. What we have done in Turkey, we push government to build a committee within the parliament. So as the women's movement also will be a part of the committee, and we share our opinion, this committee. But we will see what is going to happen, what comes out of it. and we behave together with the opposition leaders, opposition parties, opposition women's member of parliament. Let me finish here. I continue afterwards. Thank you, Elahe.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we're going to hear Vera from Lebanon and Ukraine, both countries. And so looking forward to hear your words.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elahishan. And so, as you know already, I'm speaking from Lebanon, and this is a country with a history that embodies both, well, a little bit of fragility, the fragility of peace actually, and the resilience of its community, but also in a region that has been, well, basically facing a crisis after another. So it's of course not a comparison of countries, and we can never compare. But we're also standing in solidarity with our colleagues and friends and the families of Palestine in these atrocities. To speak a little bit about Lebanon, since the civil war, the country has lived this basically a series of cycles of political paralysis, economic collapse, and recurring conflicts, and the recent war as well. In these cycles, women have carried the invisible burdens, and they are expected to absorb the shocks of the instability at home, and yet they are systematically excluded from shaping the national response. And this is a paradox we must definitely confront, because women are indispensable to sustaining peace in general, and but at the same time they remain dispensable in political processes, unfortunately. Of course, conflict, violence, wars, authoritarian, the word is not coming up. Authoritarian kind of regimes are never gender neutral, of course. In Lebanon today, over 500,000 women and girls are in urgent need of protection, and many are trapped in abusive households by financial dependency mainly. And the social safety nets in general are often, well, those that existed before have collapsed under the economic strain. But at the same time, we cannot overlook only or cannot look at the vulnerability as well, but women are also exercising agency in ways that states and international institutions often don't see or overlook. And well, if we're talking also a little bit about the war, including after the so-called ceasefire, 70% of the homes in the border towns were wiped out since September 2024 in the southern parts of Lebanon. And basically it has been young people and women who have been organizing informal networks to relocate families, secure food, provide psychological care, and well, basically also even work on infrastructural networks. And in peace agreements, these roles are rarely not named. So basically, they are what keeps the society from disintegrating. Peace is often imagined as an elite kind of negotiation between political leaders. But I think across the MENA region, the whole, well, we should call SWANA region, not MENA region, but across the region, peace is being renegotiated every day. And this is happening at the community level, of course, because women and young people are mediating disputes between communities and even with states, with the governments. And they are the ones that are bridging divides across sectarian lines, and they are creating forms or new forms of leadership that challenge the patriarchal and authoritarian structures. And this is not soft peace building, of course. It is a structural work as it addresses inequality and exclusion at its roots and the daily reproduction of violence. And at the same time, it's still where's the level of official politics as it is dismissed. In terms of regional kind of solidarity and resistance, no struggle is ever isolated. Women across Palestine, Syria, Iran, Yemen, India, Afghanistan, Lebanon, and beyond, and Turkey are confronting the same interconnected systems. So systems of genocide, war, patriarchal violence, authoritarian forms of and structures, forced displacement, sexual abuse, and violence cycles. So cross-border solidarity, whether it is an exchange of strategies or simply bearing witness to each other's struggles, is in itself a form of resistance. And it is also a reminder that women's peace building is not an optional contribution to conflict, but a need. And it is a foundation of how peace building should be built. I think what needs to be changed is to be serious about sustainable peace and women's leadership in it. And first of all, and foremost, of course, stopping the genocide, holding perpetrators accountable for war crimes and gender-based violence, to institutionalizing women's participation in negotiations, not as observers, but as decision makers, providing consistent long-term support for grassroots women-led organizations that are closest to the realities of conflict, and protecting women human rights defenders from the harassment and violence that silence their voices. So this should be frameworked. So as we mentioned, so no struggle really exists in struggle, and women across the region are facing cycles of conflict, but yet we must recognize the scale of atrocities unfolding in Palestine today, the atrocities that constitute what we're seeing in front of our eyes, of course. And the struggles across the region cannot be neatly separated, nor can they be ranked in order of importance. And it's an intersectional struggle. And I just wanted to share about the UNY Europe MENA International Solidarity Manifesto, which brought together young people and young activists and organizations from both regions who came together and wrote this manifesto. And one of its points said, and I'm going to read it here: we realize that our struggle is one, the challenges we face, the causes we strive for, and the recurrent crisis and instability we have been living through are not mutually exclusive, nor can they be hierarchized by order of importance. So we work to leverage the resources we do hold for the common good. And so it's not about comparison, it's about connection. It's about coming together, recognizing that the strength of women's peace building comes from solidarity across struggles and the grassroots work. Yeah, I'll not maybe take further. Thank you so much for the space. Just if possible, just quickly, I just wanted to share that I highly admire and honor the amazing work that the women here on the call are doing. And if there will be a space later on, I will share with you a little bit of their work as well, because it's really powerful.
Thank you very much, Berajan. It was excellent. Particularly, you mentioned the role of women sitting at the peace and negotiation table, and also the challenges with that. As there is a saying in American women's movement, they said, if there is not a seat at the table for us, we pull a seat and sit at the table. We pull a seat for ourselves and sit at the table. So now we're going to go to hear from Lama from Syria. Very interested and eager to hear your words, Lama.
Thank you, Elahijan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to keep my eyes on the timer while I'm speaking. So when I think about the role of women in building peace in general, one phrase comes to mind. Women in general do not want war, to be honest about this. War destroys the very fabric of our societies, our families, our communities, and the progress that the previous generations have worked tirelessly to achieve. Women too often the first to feel the consequences of conflict, including displacement, violence, and killing under the honor, and also among the first to stand up for peace. So coming from Syria, I have lived through a conflict that has spanned nearly 15 years. From the early days of the conflict, it became clear that building peace would require a diverse and inclusive approach, bringing together women peace builders and also male peace builders from different religions, sects, and political affiliations. This realization motivated along with a registered organization in 2014, sorry. The organization is dedicated to fostering dialogue, empowering women, and creating spaces for collaboration across divides. So our journey has been so far from easy, and my personal path in peace building has been highly risky, working under very restrictive civic space, where advocating for dialogue and inclusion can itself be dangerous. Yet, despite these challenges, we persevered because we witnessed firsthand that women are not passive victims of conflict. They are actually active agents of resilience, capable of bridging divides and also creating sustainable change. But Syria, unfortunately, also teaches us a very challenging lesson. Even when dictatorship regimes fall, as we have experienced under the Assad regime, where peace builders suffered from repression, displacement, and constant security threats, the fall of a dictator does not necessarily bring sustainable peace. In the absence of inclusive peace processes, especially those that center women, transitional moments can become breeding grounds for further violence. And we saw that, unfortunately, in Syria, where the failure to meaningfully include women in transitional justice discussions contributed to atrocities such as the massacres that took place in the coastal regions and also in Sweden, and where more than 3,000 innocent people were reported as killed. So this reminds us that the removal of authoritarianism is not enough. Without women at the heart of building the future, societies risk repeating cycles of violence instead of breaking free from them. So I would like also to take a moment to speak about regionally. We know that these agreements in general, also globally, peace agreements in general are 35% more likely to last at least 15 years when women are at the table. But in our region, women are too often excluded from formal peace processes. Their voices are missing from negotiations, and yet they are the ones who understand deeply the needs of their communities. Sustainable peace cannot be built on the absence of women voices. And this is not just the case, in Syria. Across the region, the story repeats itself, because I would like to take a moment to speak and acknowledge briefly about countries which is not represented on today's panel. So in Sudan, for example, as war has torn apart the country, women have been on the front lines of a humanitarian response and community survival. And women groups are still mobilizing to provide aid, document violations, and push for peace. Yet they remain largely sidelined in formal negotiations. In Yemen, at the same time, after nearly a decade of devastating conflict, women have stepped in to deliver relief, to mediate disputes at the local level, and still they face exclusion. And we saw this also in Afghanistan, where women were basically stripped of fundamental rights. And we are also seeing this in Egypt and Tunisia, because despite different political contexts, women activists and right defenders have carried the hope of change, calling for dignity, equality, and justice. But they too face repression, shrinking civic space, and constant attempts to silence their voices. So the lesson across all of these contexts is clear. Whenever women are pushed out, peace falters, and whenever women are included, new pathways open for dialogue, resilience, and long-term stability. The barriers remain immense. In these different contexts, militarization sidelines civilian voices, and patriarchal structures push women out of decision-making spaces. And unfortunately, international actors often treat women's participation as symbolic rather than substantive. So at the same time, women peace builders face threats, harassment, and burnout, as all of my former colleagues mentioned, simply for daring to demand a change. And in my work with peacemakers, and also more regionally with Femina, supporting women peace builders and women human rights defenders in the Swana region, we have seen how essential solidarity and protection are for sustaining their work. So the question is, how do we move forward from this? I believe there are more than three, but for me, three main or key priorities. The first one would be to, and here I would like to reiterate on what my colleague from Palestine mentioned. The first one would be to center women in peace processes, not as token participants, but as equal negotiators and mediators and decision makers. Women must not just be consulted, they must be shaping the agenda itself. The second priority would be to strengthen local and regional networks, because women peace builders are stronger when they are connected. So regional solidarity across borders, which is this what Beram has mentioned, can amplify our voices and provide the safety nets needed when national contexts are hostile. And the third one would be to invest in women's leadership. And I believe, like all of my colleagues mentioned this, this means resources, training, and long-term support. Too often funding for women-led peace building is short-term and project-based and unsustainable. So if we want sustainable peace, we need sustainable investment in women's leadership. So I have 20 seconds. But I believe what we have discussed today is not abstract. I mean, the priorities are clear. What matters now is how we together move from words to action. And that means ensuring that these commitments made in spaces like this one translate into policies, funding, and mechanisms of accountability. I'm going to stop right here.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama. I'm glad you mentioned the role of women mediators. I've been working with Mediators Beyond Borders, and I was chair of Gender and Mediation in 2016 in Turkey. We brought women leaders from the Middle East and South Asia to Turkey to talk about the role of women in grassroots and as a mediator. Thank you very much for mentioning that. So now we're gonna hear the words of Malihe Maghazi, and I'm sorry. Malihe Jan. We're gonna hear from Malihe Jan, and she's gonna talk about the challenges and the barriers for women's role in peacemaking, sustainable peace in Iran. Thank you, Malihe Jan. Please.
Thank you. Okay, I would like to share my experience of 12 days of Israel attack on Iran. I should admit actually that it's not the war is not or was not incomparable to war experienced countries such as Palestine, Ukraine, or Lebanon. I should really admit that. But anyway, I should mention that I do not share my experience to reopen wounds, but to confirm that sustainable peace is not a dream, it's a necessity. In June 2025, my city, Tehran, along with other cities and even a few villages, became a battlefield. For 12 round waves, missiles and drones rained down homes, hospitals, schools, police stations, and police stations, the National Broadcasting Organization, marketplaces, and countless other places were bombed by Israel. On the final day, nuclear sites were attacked by the United States. Families fled in panic. Mothers clutched their children as if holding them tighter could somehow keep them safe. I will never forget one moment. Near my apartment building, a 2-year-old girl stood silently over the bodies of her family. She did not yet understand the meaning of death, but she stayed straight as it. That is what war looks like through the eyes of innocent, confusion, silence, and a loss too deep for words. And yet, life somehow persisted. People, especially women, helped each other. Strangers shared food and shelter. Even in the darkest hours, the human spirit revealed its resilience. What does this teach us? It teaches us that war does not distinguish between soldiers and civilians. Governments and people, war is blind, indiscriminate, and merciless. When the bombs fall, it's ordinary people, especially women and children, who pay the highest price. However, there was a great division. I should say that I should really mention that it is unfortunately that there was a great division among the Iranian opposition inside and outside the country regarding the war, which really was terrible, and a lot of discussion was going on in any halls, any gatherings. Anyway, the UN Security Council's resolution 1325 in 2000 recognizes that this disproportionate impact of conflict on women and calls for their full participation in peace process. However, history shows us that peace negotiations too often exclude women, including women. Yet the evidence is undeniable. When women participate as leaders and decision makers, peace agreements are more likely to succeed and endure. Why is this? Because women bring perspectives rooted in daily life, family, community, education, and health. Women are not only caretakers, they are negotiators, leaders, and problem solvers. They are voices of reason, empathy, and courage, often bridging divides that seem impossible to close. Sustainable Development Goal 5, Gender Equality, and Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions, emphasize the deep connection between gender equality and sustainable peace. Sustainable peace is not simply the absence of war. It is the presence of justice, dignity, opportunity, and human security. Without these, peace is fragile and temporary. Without women as real decision makers, not observers, not symbolic participants, but leaders, peace cannot be truly sustainable. The story of Iran serves as a reminder. A city cannot be reduced to rubble in days, but restoring its communities and its spirit takes decades. That's why our focus must not only be on ending wars, but ending wars after they start. We must work to prevent them before they erupt. Prevention means building inclusive societies where women and men share power, where all voices are heard, and where justice is universal, where not only devastated nations from within, but also remove cultural and academic ties between countries. For example, before the war starts in Ukraine, Iranian studies programs developed in Ukrainian universities and research institutions. Programs in Persian language, literature, poetry, philosophy, and history fosters a deeper understanding of Iran's contribution to world civilization. We must acknowledge the invisible scars of war, the fear, trauma, deferred dreams, and lives forever altered. Healing must be part of peace, not an afterthought. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have another sentence. We cannot wait for another one to erupt. We can allow future generations of children to endure its sorrow before recognizing the imperative of peace. Missiles can silence cities, but they cannot build future. Only dialogue can do that. Only inclusion can do that. Only courage, the courage to share power and to reject cycles of revenge can do that. The present moment demands the deliberate construction of sustainable peace, one built not upon military force, but upon justice, inclusion, and shared hope of human flourishing.
Thank you very much, Maliha Jan, for speaking about the challenges and the hopes that Iranian women every day hang on to it to keep moving forward. So we heard from these distinguished speakers, each of whom brought unique perspective shaped by their lived experience in region affected by conflict. They shared not only the realities and complexities of these conflicts, but also the profound challenges and barriers they face as women peace builders. From navigating political instability and cultural constraints to confronting violence and advocating for inclusion. Their stories reflect both the hardship and the unwavering commitment required to create lasting peace, sustainable peace. As we listen, we should keep in mind the courage it takes to transform conflict into dialogue and to build hope in the midst of adversity. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts, your encouragement, and the challenges that you are facing. Now we're gonna open it for Q&A by the audience. So if anybody has any question, you can raise your hand and we definitely gonna attend to it. I see the hands of Hamide Saberi Jan. Befrmayed, please.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I really enjoyed this meeting. Thank you for all the great presentation. Well, this question just came into my mind, so I might need to do a little bit of a structure, because for me, listening to all of you distinguished women, it's obvious that you all know, or you all highlighted the fact that we need to be the center. We need to be like the leader. And we all know that for at least in this modern world that we are living in, for doing something, politics is like an essential thing. We cannot ignore the role of women in politics. And I was always wondering why us as a women activists, we are not really, especially in the region, we are not really insisting on the role of our role in the politics. And when it comes to the politics, all the women's activists get a little bit of how do you say, like they don't, it's a taboo and they don't want to talk about it. So I was wondering, what is your thought about the role of women in politics, and do you think women, considering going to the politics or thinking about women's party can change anything like fundamentally? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Hamida Jan. You asked a very important question. I welcome any of the speakers that want to respond to it, maybe in short, because we have other questions probably from the audience. Any of the speakers would like to respond to it?
I can,
yeah, please go ahead, Fatma.
Yeah, thank you for asking this question, Hamida Jan. You know, I am also one of the founders and co-chairs of the Women's Turkey. We built this party to have more women representation in politics. I think there is
okay, can you stop and not hit can you mute? Can you mute Nahid? Please mute. Please mute. We want to hear our speakers.
Okay. The Women's Party founded 10 years ago. And we are still struggling to stay alive. I mean, really stay alive. Because there are lots of financial difficulties. To make the party sustainable and to stay alive is really, we have lots of challenges. I mean, representation is one of the most important things, because representation means, political representation means you will be one of the partner of the decision. I mean, they take the decision in that table and you are not there. So the political representation is a crucial subject. We want to be there. We are defending, for instance, the NGO, Red Pepper Association is defending women representation in politics too. But despite all the struggle, we could manage only 18% in the Turkish parliament. They do not let more than that. I mean, it is up to the country's condition. If you are living in a country like Turkey in purely patriarchal conditions and with the almost religious government, governed by the almost religious government, it is very difficult to overcome these challenges. But we are still in struggle, I want to say that, and it is very important subject. Thank you, Elahi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now we're going to hear from Behnoush Jan. بفرمایید.
Hello, John. A question is in the chat.
Yes.
Yes, I'm seeing that.
Thank you very much for all of your thoughts and wonderful talks. But my question is, I'm from Iran and I know what is the situation for women in Iran and activists. But my question is, how is the life of activists in other countries? Are they safe? Are they going to be imprisoned? What dangers are there for them when they do all of this work? Because it's very important. We know the situation in each country and what freedom these women they have got. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Answer this question.
Who want to answer in our...
John, I can answer if...
Yes, Lama Jan بفرمایید.
Thank you. So thank you, Behnoush Jan. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. This is a really a very important question. And sadly, the reality is that women peace builders are often targeted for the work they do across many conflict-affected and repressive contexts. So for example, in Syria, women engaged in peace building or any like human rights advocacy or even community organizing have faced repeated harassment, arbitrary arrests, and interrogation. And I personally have been called for interrogation multiple times, and I also had a travel ban for 2 years. And many of my colleagues have been detained under like false or politically motivated charges simply for working to foster dialogue, document violation, or support local communities. So the security forces would say, like, for example, that you are dealing with a foreign agenda or like holding a feminist kind of agenda. So they might detain the activist for like up to 2 years without having any, like trial or anything like that. So these risks are constant and they make grassroots peace building extremely challenging. For Syria, because we have witnessed like a magnificent changing in the political atmosphere. We're still navigating the situation right now. We're not very sure what might happen. The space has opened for many activists actually to work, but we're still navigating what will happen in the future. But for example, if I would like to speak about Egypt, women activists have been also targeted through arrest, legal harassment, and travel bans. I'm not sure if you've heard, but there's like a Aza Suleiman case, which took like 7 years just to be free of all of the charges, and also Asma Dabis. And there's also in the Gulf, in Bahrain, sorry, Ibtisam al-Saigh was also detained and also like sexually harassed just for speaking about women's rights. So the pattern is there. When women step into roles that challenge, the power structures, they are at risk.
Thank you very much. Excellent. I have a question in the chat from Shahla Mohammadi. She's asking, isn't it time for us as women to issue a joint statement and unite our voices against all wars from Iran to Gaza to Ukraine and make ourselves heard in the global community? Have we truly succeeded in amplifying our voices to the world as much as we should? So any of the speakers would like to respond to Shahla Mohammadi, please welcome to do so. So Vera Jan, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much also for the question. And I think it's really important that we do come together, and especially now, well, more than ever, because the world is going into more polarization, more violence everywhere, unfortunately. And at the same time, we see a lot of momentum towards more effective work, more also focus on women, peace and security in general. Women networks are, well, we see amazing examples of all the people present here in this call, for example. And I think this is a great platform to already start thinking about how we could really put our hands together, how we could really start thinking of such solidarity. And of course, the world is difficult. The world has had put its own barriers or sticks in the wheels of women who have been trying to already reach decision-making positions where they could really push for the causes and the push for the women, peace and security agenda in general, and also the work of women on the ground. But these challenges are being diminished little by little with the efforts of the women who have been leading the work. And I think one of the important things that, for example, Lema has mentioned is coming together through networks, strengthening such networks, and really doing this effort collectively. And this is where things can really start to happen. For example, we have seen how young people have been leading the unfortunately in such difficult and such unimaginable conditions in Gaza, through the cameras, through the phones, through the things they have been leading the cause, and they have been showing what is happening on the ground and documenting, and they have raised the cause worldwide. And I think this is a huge example of real resistance and real resilience. And I think there is a lot we can learn from there.
Thank you very much. I want to give the microphone to Nidal. Good to see you, Nidal, John here. We were both at a panel in Kansas City on Women Equality Day yesterday. Nidal, please go ahead. Your voice, Nidal, your voice, it doesn't come through in a good way. So
can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's perfect. Thank you.
Yes, I think good evening for brave women, and very appreciate your activities and this meeting and the panelists, the various conversations, and you have already talked. Thank you, Eli, for giving all those opportunities always. And my question is, before I ask this question, I want to answer Hamida about the women participation in politics. If I introduce myself, I will say I'm a membership of the Syrian Women Political Movement, and this movement launched in 2017. So since that time, and even before, we are seeking to be part of the political decisions and to be round table. And as you said, Ilahi, that we will pull some chairs in order to be round tables. And I think, of course, it is something rooted in the male and patriarchal system to prevent women to be part of the political decisions. Otherwise, you see the situation on all of the world because of this thought and belief. And now my question is, and of course it is difficult and it's nothing coming easy. And my question is, now we are discussing, we are meeting to each other, and we are almost agree on many points that women should work on it, or we have even interaction in some other ways. But I would ask, what is the most or we can do, most practical steps we can do in order to motivate our aim, our goal forward, and to be really in the decision maker places or councils. And what is now request, what is for to be also done by those organizations from multicultural, or international organization, to be done toward those who are the women who are marginalized from our countries. We are all from the Middle East and the North Africa, so it's good to have, or I would like to hear what is the new or what is your mind in your mind to interact towards those cases. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. And Nidal John, any of the speakers would like to respond to Nidal? Vera, go ahead, please respond.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm not taking the space too much. But just to maybe share a couple of points, and thank you so much, Nidal, for your work first, and for the for the question itself. It's really important to come together and think about such actions. And well, from one point, it's a lot about advocacy, about also including both males and non, well, all parts of the community to really push for the gender representation and the women's roles. We have seen a lot of work in Tunisia, in Lebanon, for example, related to women, such advocacy efforts, and that have led into actual framework changes. And this is really important at the first level, but also concerning support related to capacity building and leadership development. So mentorship networks, support circles, and this means women who are leading already, supporting women who are also aspiring to be part of such movements. I would also add probably creating safe spaces for political engagement. So this starts on the local levels. For example, in our organizations, we can start roundtables, we can start discussion circles, town hall meetings that are focused on women who have already set the example, and at the same time pushing for more protection for women's rights. Another point would be mobilization, because a lot of, for example, and that's a challenge we probably didn't mention before, which is related to the challenges with mobilization. A lot of times women peace builders are excluded from platforms and from events and from conferences and from programs, because they weren't allowed a visa, or they weren't allowed or they didn't receive any funding, for example, for their participation. And that's also exclusive just because of their nationality or context, or the country they are coming from. So that's also a period, or because of the case of occupation, of Palestine. For this, there needs to be regional alliances. There needs to be more advocacy on the regional and international levels as well, and more mobilization efforts and solidarity from networks, and promotion of women who are leading from the ground levels. And I think this is something doable, because some of us are already also working with networks that are on regional levels and on working with international organizations, for example. So this could be pushed from the inside out. And definitely increase of access to funding and resources. A lot of times this is not something we as maybe like women working on the ground are able to do, but it's something that organizations and donors should be taking into consideration as a really important need. And amplifying the voices of women, as for example, the Stop Honor Killings campaign has been doing through this platform and through their work as well, and everyone on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vera. I think I see the hands of Fatma and then Tamana to respond. Please go ahead, Fatma.
Thank you, Elahe. Thank you. Yes, women's peace builders, they do not want women in the table. I mean, they build a peace table, but they talk about war. So they do not want us to be there. What we can do is we can build solidarity networks, which one of them, I mean, is here. Solidarity networks between women is very important. We are not only defending peace within our country, we are defending peace all over the world. This is very important. What I can suggest a very, I mean, from this meeting, for instance, we can issue a kind of statement, call for solidarity from all over the region. So we can say that this is the solidarity statement from steering committee of honor killings, whatever you put the signature as at the bottom of it. But we can build a statement because we talk about peace, so we can issue a statement, I do believe. As an engineer, I always find a quick solution. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you very much. Tamana, you want to respond to the same question? Please go ahead.
Actually not.
Oh, okay.
There were two things that were missed. One is a quick point. Someone asked about whether activists are arrested in our region. So I wanted to share one perspective. In India, in the Indian subcontinent, which means Pakistan, Bangladesh, arresting or detainment is also related to honor in our communities. So it is then used as a tool to, to reinforce the exclusion of women from such important work. So the families, the communities ostracize and punish you for, being detained or being arrested. So this is one facet which the far West does not really experience, which is very peculiar to, I think, at least in the Indian subcontinent. And I'm not sure about the other regions that are represented here. So it again reinforces the honor related to being arrested. And it's used as a tool to then stop women from participating further. One was that. And another was Shireen Chan had asked one question, which I think you missed. She said, how do we ensure that our calls for peace are not only symbolic, but also politically effective in the global arena? I really wanted to address this. I think the best way is to participate and hold those positions of power, whether it's in politics, and it does not especially has to be at the face of that or at the face of the movement. Take up policy positions, take up jobs in the government, even if it's something related to, let's say, AI, get into it. But if we are in this space, even if we hold a smaller power, let's say we are in charge of giving suggestions, interning somewhere, drafting a policy, our one voice will also matter. So the first and foremost thing is to at least be present in those spaces, or to summarize it, to penetrate those spaces. So I think that's very important. No matter what the position is, get into it. It gives us more power to change it. If we cannot change the system from the outside, the best way is to get into it and change it from the inside.
Thank you very much. I don't see any hands. I have a question for all the speakers. If you want to share your thoughts, is because the value of a storytelling is very important in us, encouraging us to keep moving forward. What inspired each of you to become involved in peace building work, and what challenges you face? I know you shared some of the challenges you faced, but specifically, what challenges, if you want to give one challenge that challenge in your environment you faced, can you speak on that? Any of the speakers? What inspired you to be a peacemaker? Vera, go ahead.
Thank you so much, and sorry again for jumping in directly. But I guess from our side for Peace Forward, for example, it started from a need, because we live in a very neglected area, which is the northern Beqa of Lebanon. This is the area I'm right now. So the only space where young people could really meet was just the schools, so at recess time. And unfortunately, the area has been divided into small bubble-like areas where each village is a representation of a specific religious background or confession. But there were no bridges, and a lot of times those promoted into, unfortunately, armed conflict. For example, the village I am from closed the road, for example, the main road for another village that was when I was much younger. I can't remember a specific date, but this turned into an armed conflict between the two villages because this was the only road the village could pass through. And it required the army to come in, and this was the situation over several years. So the idea was to kind of have a space where young people can come together, have dialogue, and really share ideas that are not passed on by their parents since the Civil War, because a lot of assumption comes from there, and to really hear from the other directly, immediately from them. And we try to do this through the most peaceful, the most uniting language, which is the art. So people would come for film screenings, then discuss the films, and then they would talk about the social causes, and that developed kind of into a bigger space. And then we had a lot of artists coming to the area, and we had volunteers coming around the world to Lebanon and having discussions with the youth, and then that kind of rolled out. So we have been working on this for 10 years now. This is our 10th year now, so we have become a member of United Network of Young Peace Builders as the first network we joined, and since then we have been engaging also on a regional level with other organizations, and right now I'm working with amazing people, including Peacemakers and Ibtikar, so Lama and Sulaima's organizations, and I'm really honored to even be learning about other organizations here. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any of other speakers want to speak to the question? Yes, Malika John, go ahead.
I don't know what happened. I can't find that. Anyway, above all other things, yeah, that we all know that war is against humanity, against everything, against destroying the country. All this. Something I want to mention that usually dictatorships or dictatorial or totalitarian regimes use war against people, against movement, against suppress this. They use it to suppress people, to suppress all voices. And as they did in this war, they said, as this regime, Islamic Republic did during the Iran-Iraq war. Nobody could tell anything. Said, there is a war going on. You can't tell anything. So actually, the same thing they did. If we were against the war, they said, you were supporting us. But we did not supporting them. At the same time, we were against the war, something that I wanted to mention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very important point. Thank you, Malika John. I see the hands of Ruhi John up. Please go ahead, Ruhi John.
Thank you very much. Fatima had the hands up before that.
No, it's okay. I can talk after Ruhi.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Do you want to go ahead? I can speak after you. That's perfectly fine. Please go ahead.
No, please. You are the first speaker.
No, that's fine.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I just want to say a few words. When the first time that Rizwan put the idea of having this gathering together, I wasn't very sure how it's going to be shaped, whether we get anywhere, who's going to participate and all that. I'm really, really proud to see this gathering today. Especially, I'm very happy and very proud to see the young faces. This is what we need in our volatile region from India all the way down to Iran and other regions, other countries, which are, plagued by older men wanting the power and killing the young people to stay in that power. And I'm really happy to see these young faces. I really hope you stay with us and until we can get somewhere. And I know that the problems in the region are immense, we all know. And maybe this small group cannot solve all the problems, but we can be maybe a messenger of hope and some suggestions, some proposals for the others to follow up. And then we will stay where we are together. I really wanted to just say that as part of the campaign to stop honor killings. I think I'm very hopeful that we can move out of that, inside that, but still out of that, into other areas that are very urgent to deal with. And it's only women, and I really believe it's only women, and secondly, young women who are able to deal with them. And thank you very much for everybody being here, especially the young ladies that we see here. I'm really happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fatma and then Lama. Please go ahead, Fatma.
Thank you, Elahe. Yes, I agree with Ruhi. I share the. I am very happy to see the young people among us. Lama, Tamana, Vera. It is good to have all of you. Really, I am one of the founders of one of another group which is called WINMI, Women in Peace for Middle East group. We were trying to organize a meeting, a conference in Istanbul, and we were trying to invite the people, the women's peace builder among the region. So we communicated with a lot of people, but we couldn't make it because our leader, who was trying to organize this conference, Gönül Hanım, rest in peace, she passed away. So we couldn't handle that meeting, but we wrote a peace message to the United Nations. If you like, I can send you the message, which was a very comprehensive message covering the what women suggest for peace in our region, especially for the world, but it's specifically in our region. So it reminded me to that. I am a peace builder because, you know, as a women right activist, I should be. Peace is the most secure way. I mean, to live in. If there is a peace, everyone is secure to live in a country. So instead of trying, I mean, I can't understand why this man is trying to create war. War is not a secure place. If you are in war, everybody is in risk. So peace is the most secure way to live in. And I should mention Atatürk here. You know, the founder of Turkey, one of the best words he's saying, one of the best saying in his history, and we all women defend it: peace at home, peace in the world. It should be that way. Unfortunately, now the situation is vice versa, but we will struggle for peace as women. Thank you all for organizing this meeting. By the way, I want to say it.
Thank you very much. Lama Jan, please go ahead.
First of all, I'm sorry for your loss, Fatima Jan, and I'm sure the work and spirit will always be remembered. I'm gonna answer your question, Elahi Jan, about what inspires us to keep working, and I'm gonna be honest, because before the fall of the Assad regime, as a Syrian woman and a Syrian peace builder, I've often felt as if we were working in circles, like working, and nothing is happening, and sometimes even lost hope. But what kept me going at that time, however, was seeing other women, especially the women who were in the most isolated areas, and I mean the women from like very structurally excluded areas, and also women from minorities working really hard to protect their families, to mediate disputes, and keep their communities alive. So now, after the fall of the Assad regime in Syria, I feel even more inspired, because now I see new possibilities for women to take leadership and to shape peace and influence the future of our societies. And this is actually not also like this extends beyond Syria. I mean, across the region, in all of these countries, women are showing like similar courage, which inspires me every day to keep working. And speaking about the challenges, I would like to highlight a particular challenge that remains the greatest for me, which is actually maintaining mental health and avoiding burnout. Because I believe in peace building, we often focus so much on supporting communities and advocating for justice that we often neglect ourselves. So that's why I believe self and collective care is essential, and I believe solidarity, like last year before the fall of the regime, in a particular moment, we, like as Syrian women, we felt that we just need solidarity, because solidarity is the thing that keeps us, like nourished to do more and to work more. And I would like here to highlight the work of Femina, because at Femina we established a resource center called Diara, for Resource Center, which provides resources, training, and safe spaces for women activists, peace building, and human rights defenders. Supporting them to sustain their safety and effectively continue their work. So I can share some links in the chat if anyone would like to have a look and, share the resources.
Thank you very much. According to my clock, we have 15 more minutes. Is that okay? I ask another, there is no hands up. I ask another question from our participants. Do we have, Tamana.
There is 2 questions in chat.
I'm sorry, there are questions. Okay, Tamana,
yeah,
please.
There are 2 questions, yes.
Yeah, you could take that.
We cannot hear you.
Later. So you can take the questions first.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you very well. Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so I said you can take the question and I can speak later. That's not.
Okay, there are some questions in the, is it really, maybe you can, my question was, let's first go to the question in the chat. Is it really more opportunity for women in Syria? Are they following Islamic law? This is a question for our Syrian speakers. You want to respond to it?
Yes, of course. Well, we can't this might be a generalization. We don't know yet what will happen. We're still navigating the opportunities and also the challenges that are rising right now in Syria. And in many of the contexts in Syria, I know that the HTS has been, forcing Islamic Sharia, but at the same time, they had a very good experience in protecting Christian communities in around Idlib in the north. East of Syria. So we're not sure yet, especially after the massacres that took place in the coastal region and also in the south, but we are sure that women will not be sidelined anymore, because women, Syrian women, I mean, they were at the front lines in the Syrian revolution. They were the ones who were, actively searching for their loved ones. They are the ones who are actually asking and demanding justice for their killed people and killed family members. So I don't, as a Syrian woman and a Syrian activist, I don't believe that the environment would be safe. But at the same time, I believe that there will be, possibilities, because Syrian women were able, to push or demand to make the Assad regime fell, after all of these, oppression years. So I don't believe we will have an Islamic, let me say, restrictive kind of a country. I believe we might have other experiences like what happened in the coastal region and the south, but I believe when we continue our work, we will be at the front lines and we will be again, in the decision making. Positions.
Thank you. I have another question in the chat from the question moves, so I have to, just a second. I have to, Shirin asking, since we are all gathered here, shouldn't we take this opportunity to decide together on our next step? So anyone want to respond to that? Tamana, you want to respond to that question? Or any of the speakers would like to respond to that question? Okay, so if we have time, I have another question for all the speakers. I think we have time for one more question. I thought about some question for all the speakers, so I'm gonna ask the next one. As we know, we have in current world, we have digital divide in all countries to various degrees. So how do you address a security threat for activists and women's human rights defender, both physical and digital, in the work that you do? Because we know that we have digital women and girls have way less access to internet, but they are the majority of people who are being harassed or their safety and security are being endangered in current world, in all countries. So how do you address that? How do you navigate that difficult situation? If any of the speakers would like to respond to that.
I could speak a bit on that.
Sure. Please go ahead.
I think first of all, it's very important for us to acknowledge the privilege we have as in a safe and easy access to the digital world. And because of that, it becomes imperative for us to not just only put our opinions out there, but also be active voices of the voiceless, people who do not have access to these digital spaces or who are, deliberately excluded from them. So it's very important to also periodically use our agencies and spaces in the digital world to bring that to light. One was that. And if there's anybody else who would like to answer that, they can go ahead. Otherwise, I have a connecting point with this.
Sure. I don't see any hands. Go ahead, please, Tamana.
Sorry, Fatima has a hand.
Before you ask this question, I wanted to really talk about an experience.
Elahe, there is also a question from Sudi.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we responded to that question. That is Syria, about Syria. I think we got a response from Lama. Is my understanding correct? I think Lama responded to that question. So
Fatima has the
yes, she
hands up.
did. Thank you.
Yeah, Fatima, please go ahead.
Okay, for this digital solidarity, all the activists in Turkey as well under the digital pressure. They are threatening through the digital space. I mean, they are lynching through the digital space. It is unbelievable. What I suggest, in fact, international solidarity is a very good tool against this digital pressure. We can, for instance, defend Iranian women's rights as a Turkish woman. So we can we can disseminate their voices, we can galvanize their issues, so we can help to each other. I mean, this is one way to at least diminish the pressure on the women rights defenders. The second thing is, I mean, I am one of the ex-chief information officer, and I used to work for the private sector. You should put your security settings very importantly. Put double security settings in your every account, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. Put your security. It is very important. If they steal your accounts, it is the pressure on you is going to be doubled. So please try to be secure in the digital space. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to read a comment that's very important that Sudi put in the chat, that please learn from the Iranian woman's experience. Don't let Syria become another Iran or worse, Afghanistan. Secularism is the only way for peace and equality. Thank you, Sudi John. That's a very important.
Totally agree.
Thank you. I see the hands of Hamide Saberi up. Please go ahead, Hamide.
Excuse me, I know we are very close to finishing line, but just about the one of the message that you have read for us about what is gonna be the next step. I think it's very important to use this platform and this chance of having all of these women here. I would say it's gonna be great if we can handle like a Telegram or WhatsApp group, and the name of like the next step or action drive or anything else to keep up keep continuing about sharing our ideas and making the next practical step. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the campaign for Stop Honor Killing gonna follow up with all of you, and that's a good idea. Your suggestion is a good idea. I think we are very close, 3 minutes to the end of this very, very important conference. Gratitude to all our speakers for sharing their journey, their struggle, your struggle, and the challenges that you have faced. As we listen to each story, we recognize a powerful truth. Despite the diversity of our experiences, from Syria to India to Iran to Palestine, there is so much common ground, patterns that connect us across borders, particularly in the West and South Asia. And that's why we must stand together, building on each other's strength and sharing the lessons we have learned along the way. May the voice of women be the roots of peace and the wings of freedom. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great session. Thank you very much.
Yeah.